And finally, the Prince of Elbaf is revealed. Condemned to imprisonment and chained to the gigantic Yggdrasil tree for killing his own father, Loki is someone who must not be released under any circumstances. Because if, for any reason this happens, it will mean the destruction of the entire world, as Loki is the one who will bring about Ragnarok. But it seems that Loki is in luck today because standing before him is the most innocent person in the world, Monkey D. Luffy. So, what's going to happen now? Will we see an epic battle right off the bat? Or will Loki manipulate Luffy into freeing him? What is the legendary Akuma no Mi that Loki stole from his father? And why does he claim to be the sun god himself? Before we dive deep into One Piece chapter 1130, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It would be an honor to have you in our crew. Also, drop a like on this video since, like me, you're part of the worst generation. Now let's get into it. Chapter 1130 of the manga begins aboard the ship in Elbaf, showing the other half of the Straw Hat crew, Frankie, Robin, Brooke, and Jinbei, who are talking with the Giants about the whereabouts of the rest of the crew. During the time that's passed, they've been searching for their companions with the help of the Giants but have had no success. Not even the sharks Jinbei called for help managed to find anything. But it's okay, because sooner or later, the rest of the crew is bound to arrive in Elbaf. This isn't the first time they've been separated, and they always find each other. Now back in Elbaf, we see that our heroes have managed to escape from the castle where they were imprisoned, and are now faced with the real Elbaf, a snowy landscape where we can see an immense bridge leading to the true Yggdrasil tree. Looking at snowy Elbaf, we can't help but remember that the prelude to Ragnarok in Norse mythology is a harsh winter. We also know that in Norse mythology, the world is represented by a cosmic tree called Yggdrasil, which holds the 9 worlds that make up the universe. Here we are, face to face with Elbaf. It's possible that each level of the tree represents a different world. Or it could be like Wano, where the island is divided into various parts, each with its own unique features. 2 giants we've seen before come walking across the bridge. A woman who is the doctor of the giant pirates, and a chubby guy who is the crew's cook. The Giants are talking about the fact that their captain, Hajrudin, accepted Road into the crew. For those who don't know, Road is the giant who kidnapped the Straw Hats and trapped them in a Lego-like world, where he pretended to be the sun god. This happened just 1 chapter ago. The Giants are heading to the castle because Piper, the owl, detected Road's raven carrying a ship, and the entrance of invaders is strictly prohibited in the country. Taking advantage of this, Road kidnaps ships passing along the coast, accuses them of being invaders, and traps them in his little Lego kingdom. The crew lets the Giants pass and continues on their way across the bridge. Luffy, completely fearless, walks along the giant ropes of the bridge, while Usopp is trembling, not from fear, but from the cold. Below them, we can see giant wolves staring at them hungrily, just waiting for one of them to fall off the bridge and become their dinner. Then Luffy senses a presence in the air that sends chills down his spine, so he decides to jump off the bridge to follow this feeling and find out what it is. And you and I already know where this is going. Back on Elbaf's ship, we see the crew reacting to the news in the newspaper. We learn that the bounties of the giants Dory and Brogy have jumped from 100 million each to no less than 1.8 billion berries each for participating in the destruction of Egghead alongside Luffy. Or at least, that's the version the newspaper is reporting. Now, it's kind of funny that Oda increased the giants' bounties to 1.8 billion berries, considering these are the same giants who were humiliated by Mr. 3. Robin mentions that the giants' bounties saw such a massive increase partly due to inflation. Well, these 2 giants have immense physical strength, of course, but having such a high bounty when they couldn't even beat Mr. 3 ? It's also worth mentioning that their leader, the giant Hajrudin, was taken down with a single punch from Luffy in Gear 2nd back in the Dressrosa arc. Let's be honest, Oda has always made giants in One Piece take a beating from other characters just to show how strong those characters were. But now, Oda needs to change things up a bit since he sold us on the idea that Elbaf, the land of giants, is the most powerful kingdom on Earth. Be careful, Oda. Don't make us doubt your genius. And if you come to tell me that the bounty value doesn't reflect the character's power level, I'll politely have to beat some sense into you, my brother. Just remember Aokiji, the long-haired giraffe himself, explained that the bounty value doesn't just reflect a person's strength, but also the level of threat they pose to the government. That's why Robin's bounty was so high even when she was just a kid. So saying that bounty doesn't represent strength? My friend, don't say that around me today because I'm in a dark mood. Okay, maybe the Marines only gave such a high bounty to these giants because they supposedly took part in the destruction of Egghead and the assassination of Vegapunk alongside the Straw Hat. But even so, to raise it to such an astronomical amount? Slow down, Oda. Another important thing reported in the newspaper was a picture of Luffy with an X on his arm. Everyone knows that the X was the mark the crew used to say goodbye to Vivi and Alabasta, symbolizing their friendship. The crew also notices that the X is sharper than the rest of the photo, as if it was added later through editing. Well, we know Vivi is currently traveling on Morgans' airship. Could we be looking at a reunion with the Straw Hats? This X in Luffy's photo could be a sign from her to the Straw Hats, just like when Luffy wrote 3.2Y in his newspaper picture to tell the crew not to meet in 3 days, but in 2 years. Vivi might have left this mark to let them know she's okay, or as a signal to meet up. What's funny is that the members who know what the X actually means are already on land and haven't seen the newspaper. Shortly after, the giants make a revelation. Captain Hadrudin is the son of the King of Elbaf, meaning he is the Prince of Elbaf. It's interesting to note that Elbaf is under Shanks' flag and is protected by him, while at the same time, the Prince of Elbaf has placed his pirate crew under Luffy's protection. Could we be heading toward a Luffy versus Shanks battle? Especially considering that Shanks said it was time for him to go after the One Piece. We'll just have to wait and see. The giants also mention that Elbaf has another prince, known as the Cursed Prince. He was sentenced to crucifixion for the terrible crimes he committed. And when he tried to escape, all the warriors of Elbaf gathered to capture him again. They also reveal that there is a legendary Akuma no Mi that has been passed down from generation to generation within the royal family. And the prince's desire to obtain this fruit was so strong that he killed his own father. This sounds a lot like what Teach did to Whitebeard. And the next time Prince Loki is freed, the world will be destroyed. On the next page, we are introduced to Loki, the god of mischief and Prince of Elbaf, chained to the tree of Elbaf, blindfolded, with a sinister smile. At his feet stands Monkey D. Luffy, and it's certain that Loki will try to manipulate Luffy into freeing him. Luffy introduces himself as the man who will become the Pirate King, while Loki introduces himself as the Sun God, who will bring about the end of the world, Ragnarok. Do you remember that Oda once said, when a pirate with an eye patch appears, the story would be nearing its end? Or could Loki's eyes be blindfolded because he possesses some kind of ocular power? Is he the pirate Oda was referring to, or not? What do you think? And along with this, we get an incredible double-page spread showing the entire country of Elbaf. We see the Yggdrasil tree with 2 different levels, clouds floating above its leaves, and waterfalls cascading down from its branches. We can also spot a giant sword that must have once been wielded by someone equally gigantic. If you have a sharp eye, you can also notice what seems to be Bifrost, the rainbow bridge connecting the world of the gods. Since the King of Elbaf was killed a few years ago, we can deduce that Hadrudin is now the new king, although he has never been officially introduced as such in the anime. Maybe the throne is temporarily vacant, and surely Loki will take advantage of this to claim what's rightfully his. So, it's possible that Oda is setting up a throne dispute narrative between Loki and Hadrudin, although from what we've learned about Loki so far, he seems more focused on something bigger, destroying the world. This Elbaf arc is going to be politically chaotic. We have 2 princes of one kingdom and also 2 emperors of the sea in the same region, Luffy and Shanks. Could we finally see their reunion here, and maybe even a fight? As for Loki's devil fruit, we could logically speculate that it's a fruit that grants powers fitting for a god of mischief, something like creating illusions or shape-shifting. Another interesting idea is that Loki's fruit could be a mythical Zoan, the Fenrir wolf. In Norse mythology, Ragnarok begins when the giant wolf Fenrir breaks free from the chains that imprisoned him. And here, we already see the similarity with Loki's introduction, being chained like a wild animal. In the mythology, the legendary wolf is one of Loki's children. When Fenrir was chained, he bit off the hand of Tyr, the god of war. In the One Piece universe, maybe instead of Tyr, it was Shanks who helped imprison Loki, which is why he's so well regarded in the region. Fenrir breaks free from his chains and devours the sun, which here is represented by Luffy at Loki's feet. What do you think? Maybe I'll make a full video on the possible devil fruit powers of Loki. Now tell me, what did you think of this chapter, and what do you think Loki's devil fruit might be? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get more videos like this, leave a like, and until next time, mate.